Okay, give me 1 minute.
All right, good.
Okay. So Olympus DAO protocol came 6 years ago, and they said, what if we find a way to solve this problem? Right? What if instead of going to rely on external liquidity providers, we grant that opportunity to our members, our community members who are willing to stake or provide liquidity by staking their USDT and then earning their token as a form of rewards or rebates. That model has since withstand any other pressure on the market. And for 6 years now, I'm sure you definitely know about Olympus DAO protocol. 6 years now, several millionaires have been made. Several people's lifestyle have been changed. How did they get that equation right? How did they manage to crack it? Because even if they solve the issue of liquidity, there is still the danger of how about the guys in charge of the project? Sometimes human greed sets in when liquidity pool is growing and they can see $1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, 100 million, 200 million, and a billion, humans are naturally greedy. And so that greed aspect could set in, but they look smart and they introduce what we call, they tone the channel of what we call a decentralized DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. How did they crack that? First of all, they renounced the ownership of the liquidity pool to prevent any human access to where the pool is, where the funds are kept. They burned the keys to the black hole, which means that the only way money could come out of the contract is when somebody actually swaps on PancakeSwap. So let's say, for instance, you own their token, you want your USDT, you engage PancakeSwap, it takes your token to the treasury and releases USDT to you. No human would be involved or even be tempted to take money from it. And by so doing, they renounced the entire project, put it all together, and for 6 years, they have been very, very, very successful, even today. Now, let me show you something shocking about the foundation. When they built Olympus DAO to a point, then they realized they have about 2 million active wallet users. They thought that if they could create their own blockchain and get 2 million people on that chain could survive and do anything. So they thought that rather than running on external chains, why don't we create our own chain? When they created their own blockchain called the Anubis chain, they now had to come to the community begging people to leave the old protocol, which is the version 1, to join them on version 2. Now, look at the funny thing. The people, the users, these 2 million active users, most of them said, no, we are happy here, we are good here, we really don't want to move, we are just okay. Now, if it was a centralized program, they could have just shut their operations and say, look, we are moving all of you guys to this chain, whether you like it or not, hot operations, and then give you so many stories, and then even at the end have access. But in this case, because it was a true decentralized protocol, they couldn't stop their operations and then migrate users to a certain, their new blockchain to operate. And for me, that was the point when I realized that, okay, DAO, or what we call decentralized autonomous organization stuff, really works. Even the idea of creating their own chain, the Anubis chain, it was proposed by node holders, and then they debated it for long. At the end of the day, they had to go to polls and vote. When majority finally voted yes as leaders, they brought the idea to their users, and most of them are not willing to move. They said, we are already okay with what is working, and we are not willing to move. So that is the true essence of a DAO. So now, if they have been able to do that successfully without interference, then any other protocol that wants to be like them, you simply have to copy that model and implement it in your program. And thankfully, it is not just one of those things. One other project came up called Origin. Their token name is LGNS. You can check on market cap. Origin came about 4 years ago. Personally, I was introduced to Origin a little over 2 years ago. And the gentleman looked at me and said, Jerry, if you stake $100 and you leave it for a year, you could make up to $4,000. It sounded too good to be true to me. And so what I did was, okay, give me their smart contract address. I looked so hard until I saw something I wasn't so comfortable with. I was afraid people could easily dump the token. They didn't have the sell tax. They didn't have anti-whale mechanisms. And I wasn't too comfortable with that because I knew if people could dump the token at any point in time, it could have ripple effect on a price. And then when the price is not as it is when you are entering, then when you are exiting, it's like buying something at $1 and then making ×5 of it. Then you want to sell it back and you are now selling it at $1. You bought it at 10, you are selling at 1. You don't still make your money. Based on that, I said no. I told him, look, this thing is going to crash if they don't do A, B, C, D. Guess what? They are 4 years in business and still very strong. The other day, statistics came out about the number of people who made 10 million plus. If you hear the numbers based on with on-chain data, you will not believe it. Right? Then came also WebKeyDAO, and then other protocols like ARC, and then now Port and Shadow's Floor. The beautiful part of all these things is that when it comes to the blockchain, once you are able to crack the code, other people or other developers want to build it and make it better. Bitcoin cracked that code and been able to win everybody's heart when it comes to cryptocurrencies. But the Bitcoin network or chain, Ethereum came to make it better by saying, well, we can also design a platform where a lot of people can actually build on using crypto, and that will increase adoption. Then other chains came like the BNB chain, and all of them are trying to make the blockchain experience a better thing. They look at the flaws in other concepts, and then they try to improve upon it. Then came Shadow's Claw. Shadow's Claw just launched about a month ago. Fortunately, I had the opportunity to actually get to know about it before it went live. So I even got the opportunity to acquire some of their nodes to be a node holder. What do they want to achieve, and how are they able to meet up with all this crazy, a yearly APY and all? It is very simple. The Olympus DAO protocol I just talked to you about is a success ecosystem on its own. Being able to own your own liquidity, earning the fees, and then transaction tax and all those things, all the revenue being generated from all these activities from your network, you using it to pay back people. Now that itself is sustainable. But Shadow's Claw decided that there's another thing we believe can be added. We can't rely on only one revenue source. So what if we add extra revenue sources, tighten the token regulations, and then make it more solid and outlive what is already in motion for more than 6 years? So they launched the Shadow's Claw and then decided to back it up with Shadow's Claw Market, Prediction Marketplace. Now, Prediction Market is the biggest thing happening right now in the crypto space. From all angles, all the exchanges, they keep talking to you. Market, Polymarket, and the rest. Sorry, someone distracted me.
But bro, how sure are you like with prediction market says? Because I have seen a couple of projects on prediction market and they failed. So what is your observation on that?
Okay, so I'm coming towards that.
Okay.
I'm actually building towards that.
Sure.
Sorry. Somebody was entering my house. I have to open the gate for him. I'm using the remote. It's not okay. Finally responded. Thank you. Now I'm back. So they decided that they are going to tap into the area of prediction market and then drive value from there to support the liquidity pool. So in my earlier submission, I did mention that the Olympus DAO model is a whole ecosystem on its own. When practiced well, can even self-sustain for so many years. But they said that because prediction market is becoming a thing, everybody's attention is being drawn to it. Yes, there are other prediction markets, but what was the models they used? Is it one-man show like we have in poly market? You and I know poly market takes about 2% of the total value being traded on their platform. But the big question is, whom do they share the 2% with? Which people earn that 2%? Which people have what it takes to also go to the market and create their own polls? If you go to poly market, you can only vote on existing topics that are being discussed. You as an external person cannot just go in there and create your own questions. So there's so much limitation when it comes to those traditional prediction markets. So other projects that fail to see the light of day, what model did they use? These guys are using what we call the community model. Now, when you provide staking, automatically you're a stakeholder of this whole concept. You are already earning something through the Olympus DAO model as economic layer. Then we have another economic layer or economic activity coming from the prediction market. And then they believe that through that, they can raise 1 million active users who will be engaging in the prediction market. So how do they intend to solve these issues? One, power, control over who posts what on prediction market. We should all have the same ability to create polls. In my region, what is more important to me may not be important to somebody in US or in Canada or elsewhere. I can relate more to events happening in my town. Like I am in Ghana. When it comes to Ghanaian election, I know how many people are interested in that conversation. Who becomes the next president of Ghana? It's a hot topic, but that may be meaningless to somebody in the US. So if you allow people sitting in US alone access to create polls on your platform, you have just limited the platform's capability and expansion to only the US. So these guys thought that if we brought our own prediction market, we make it community-based. As long as you are willing to burn some portions of our tokens, you can create any poll, advertise your poll, and then let's generate revenue. At the end of the day, whatever revenue is generated, fees are charged from the total revenue being traded, and then channeled back to the liquidity pool. Secondly, they are also adding their own AI agents. This AI agent has a job to scan the entire market and properly advise you on active, trade advices. Some could be even in the form of arbitrage, scanning all the options available, scanning other markets, ensuring that it takes advantages of price gaps or properly advise you and even trade on your behalf using our prediction market model. So again, people who are already on, how do we call them, the other prediction markets out there, do they have an internal AI agent that can be acquired and then be instructed, monitor the market, and take advantage of the real price gap differences to make money for me? The answer is no. External parties are creating their AI agents and then allowing them to scan these people's, platforms for such scalpy activities. Now, they are also limited. What if the owners of the platform itself have their own internal AI agents? So that is what Shadows Cloud decided that, okay, let's combine these three models backed by the prudent economic management model that has been very successful for over 6 years now, that none of those projects have crashed. Check all of them, from Olympus DAO itself to WebKey DAO to Origin to Horizon to ARC to all of them. They are still doing very, very well after a long period of time. And what we have always been faced in this industry is the fact that you buy into a concept, then they rug pull you, or they close down the website after taking so much from people and they create chaos. That has been solved using the Olympus DAO mechanism. Benny is here, he's my witness. I have leaders who are on other protocols for years. And when they are sharing their testimony, you know that as a team builder, this is the sort of things you need for your people. But then, of course, that doesn't mean it's a holy grail. That immediately somebody comes to say, oh, I am practicing Olympus down mechanism, then it's a go-to. You need to confirm, check their smart contract layout, the setups. Is it the same as what they claim they are copying? What was the model applied? How were their finances managed? How was the revenue generated? What were some of the loopholes of these systems? You have to learn those things and then know how you apply it, and then go back to the code and see if genuinely they are the same models. So for instance, when it comes to smart contracts, we all know if a smart contract is deployed, the owner, first of all, the creator's wallet always have access to this contract until they decide to renounce the smart contract properly. Now, guess what? Nowadays, renouncing the smart contract itself is not enough. As long as they have what we call the proxy upgradable contracts in there, they can always come back and change certain things about the smart contract, despite the fact that the actual ownership has been thrown to the 000 or the null wallet address. They can still use the proxy address to change things. So one, the mother protocol, which is the Olympus DAO, do they have proxies in their contract? And the answer is no. So anybody wanting to duplicate them, surely you don't need to have a proxy. Does Shadow's Claw have a proxy? No. Secondly, they renounced the smart contract itself. Shadows has done just same. The liquidity pool where the funds are stored, which is the main pool that handles trading activities and everything on chain in PancakeSwap, has been renounced, not just locked, but properly renounced, and the keys thrown to the black hole. All these mechanisms put in place. Then you have the treasury. You have different smart contracts handling specific tasks, and all these tasks has been channeled towards the same main smart contract. We call them sub-contract. Like for instance, if you want to stake your token and you want to stake for 360 days, there is a specific contract that handles that, a specific smart contract that handles that. If you want to stake for 180 days, for instance, the smart contract handling yours is different from those handling that of the 360 days to bring that clarity and transparency for everybody to openly go into the smart contract, check all these things to ensure that everything is just as the same as the mother Olympus DAO protocol. Since it is something you are implementing, then it should be an exact duplicate of the steps they have taken to ensure that you achieve the same result. All these things I'm talking to you about has been done on Shadow's Cloud. The only thing left next.
Harry, maybe you could share some of them. Are you sharing the screen? Because you are not sharing anything.
Yes, I'll share with him. I know he's knowledgeable about the space, so I just want to wrap up and go back. We'll go back to blockchain together, and then we'll look at all these claims one after the other. So let me wrap it up before we go to the chain. So as we speak, the next phase of this project is the launching of the prediction market. But how do we even know if genuinely they have this AI agent, they have this prediction market? That is where they submitted their code, their source code to Certic. For Certic to review this code and see genuinely what industry, what areas can this be applied. So when you go to, what's the name, Certic, there are two different awards that has already been bestowed on this code. The first one is the top 10 AI agents built on Binance chain. Shadow's Claw has been rated into the top 10. And then a while ago, this morning, I checked and I realized that they've been rated into the top 10 favorite community projects. Now, which people cast this vote? Users and developers of Certic. They analyze your whole setup and they cast votes on this project. when they list this project, they go out there, they express their interest or their opinion on them. And you realize that already they say they have an AI agent. Then they have won, recognition as the top 10 AI agents. Surely, if they have not seen a code behind the AI agency being built, they cannot rate it. So all these areas have been set aside so you can actually go in there and then look at it. And of course, our internal token, which is the SAC, has properly been listed on DEX. And then the liquidity pool to this token has been burned permanently. So on that note, let me share my screens and quickly walk you through this so you can attest to the fact that I may not just be singing. So give me a minute. Let me open CoinMarketCap. Okay. So sharing my screens now. Let's do this. Okay. So I'm taking you to CoinMarketCap now. And the token in question is called SAC. But I'm glad I came to this zone because if you look on your screen carefully, you realize that apart from the SAC, you see LGNS, you see Jew, some of the, and then even OHM. The OHM actually is the Olympus DAO, the original Olympus DAO token. These people have been in operation for 6 years, and this is their token currently with a liquidity, with a market capitalization of about $266 million. The one above it, which is SAC, is currently trading around 27.6. Of course, that is where it has, no, not, I didn't mean to click this. I want to click the SAC token. Okay, that is where it has been. If you look at the charts, the long-term chart, let me use maybe the yearly chart, for instance. No, I'm coming. Give me a second. This is it. So you realize that the token in the last few days, or ever since it has been launched, has remained, relatively stable. And of course, I expect this token to be very stable for a long time because of the mechanisms that has been put in place for it. So I want to go and then let's look at the smart contracts of this token. So I'm going to copy this smart contract and then let's go to, let me open my browser. Maybe let's go to PoolCoin and look at something. So what I'm going to do now is to paste the token here, the contract address here, and it must bring the token name as you see here in the chart. What am I interested in? My interest here is to see the liquidity holding here, the liquidity holding here. I don't know if you can see the PV, the PC V2, SAC USDT, LP holdings, because that is where the pool is. But even before we go to the pool, the total market cap at this point is around $123 million, right? I'm coming. Give me a second. Oh, no. Give me a second.
Jerry, your battery is also going down. I see it's 15%. Make sure you don't go off.
No, I won't go. I won't go. I won't go. It is well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to click on the holders. We want to see in this video which people have control over the funds in the liquidity pool, right? And that takes us straight to BSC, the BSC scan, where we're going to check the liquidity holding, the LP holdings. This is where the magic actually begins from, right? Now, if you look at the holdings, it has been ranked according to the percentage being held. Now, the first one, which is the dead, the black hole, a 000 dead, which is a black hole, is what holds 98.3% of this liquidity. 98% of the total liquidity in this pool, right? 98% of the control has been thrown to the dead wallet. Then we have the what we call the DAO rewards wallet. Let me explain what that means. Whenever there is a sell, somebody attempts to sell the token, 5% fee is implemented. This 5% fee is distributed or is divided into 3 parts. 2% goes to the developer's wallet for system building and taking for maintenance and all that, right? For expansion and maintenance and all that. And then 1.5% goes into the treasury. And then another 1.5% goes into the liquid, the node holders, what we call the DAO governance reward, right? So there should be an address that receives that, and that holds about 1.6% of this reward, and then that's further distributed, right? There's another thing I want to touch on. The third wallet address here is actually a PancakeSwap V2 fee to wallet address. You know, when trades happen on PancakeSwap, there are fees received or rewards received from PancakeSwap if you are the liquidity provider. And that fee should be channeled to an address, and the wallet address that handles the fees until it is distributed currently also have 0.3. Now, this is the wallet address used to fund the liquidity pool from the beginning. And as you can see, it contains 0 of this liquidity. That should tell you that the owners at this point, that you know the role of the black hole. If you throw your crypto, if I give you this wallet address now and you send any crypto to it, you can't recover it. Nobody can recover it. So when you throw ownership or control of a smart contract into this now wallet, all you are saying is that let the rules established in the smart contract take effect. Now, another thing, developers can actually do this, but they will still have a way to milk the community through pre-minting this token. Let's say, for instance, the total amount of SAC token, if they have minted all from the beginning and they are holding it in developers' wallet, and then the wallet is doing distribution, maybe when you earn, then the money moves from the developer's wallet to you, that is a real danger. Guess what? The SAC is not pre-minted. New tokens are minted every 12 hours as rewards to those who provide liquidity, or those who stake, they receive new tokens in reward. And that, by so doing, ensures that majority of this token is not pre-minted to be left in the hands of somebody who will go ahead and then sell it when the price is up to destabilize it. So that has also been taken care of. This is about liquidity. Now let's go to SolScan. Let's go to solidityscan.com because they use Solidity Pragma as a programming language to write the code. So if there is anybody who can read this code better, I believe it is the Solidity, their own scan. So what I'm going to do here is to walk you through, first of all, this token was, this dApp was built on Binance Chain. So I'm going to choose mainnet because it's not in test mode. It's actually built on mainnet. And then I'll paste the wallet address here. Now, what I'm doing is that I'm asking Solidity Scan to scan this address and tell me all the high risk elements of the whole contract address. So it is going to scan it for a while and then come out with, you know, their own findings. And of course, this contract was written here, so they can read it even better than I am doing. So let's see, in the next minute or so, it should be done. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Okay, perfect. So now let's look at the total score. Load. Let's go. Supposed to load. Come on, let's go. Okay, perfect. Now, this score has been grouped into certain volume of the weight of the risk. We have the high risk, and then we have moderate risk, and then we have low risk, and then those with no impact. So now when it comes to the high risk, at this point, it says there is no high risk element in the code. However, they feel there are 4 things that are of moderate risk. And we're going to look at those 4 things and see why they exist in this smart contract. So first of all, the token itself is not a honeypot, which means it is not a token that will trap you to buy and you cannot sell, right? This token is a standardized token with a source code verified and published on GitHub. You can actually get a code on GitHub. Then the source code, like I said, is verified. Now, one of the issues they rated as moderate risk is the presence of minting function. Now, the reason why they will rate this as moderate risk is because if, let's say, you are not going to invest into a project, you are only going to the market to buy a token, right? And the owners of the token say, oh, we have already minted all our tokens, and we cannot go behind the scene to mint further. Then you put a code, the smart contract here, and it tells you it contains minting feature, which means that these developers have lied to you. They can go behind the scenes and mint the token depending on who owns that access. But in the case of Shadow's Claw, the token is not pre-minted. It's just like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not pre-minted. It comes into being when certain activities or conditions are met. When people solve or authenticate transactions on the blockchain, that is when they earn, it triggers the smart contract to earn, to print more Bitcoin to reward these people. Same model applies here. And for that matter, this cannot be, in our situation, cannot be a risk. It is a feature that has been implemented in the smart contract to ensure that nobody takes advantage of it, of course. And there's also the presence of burn function. The burn function is one of those features they have put in, measures they have put in place to ensure that the token in supply is not too much to drain down the price. If it gets to a point where they feel the token is too much, the smart contract buys back, the treasury contract buys back from the market, and then they burn it to ensure that the price is stabilized over a long period of time. And then, of course, the Solidity Pragma version they have used, standard operations require that you make your code public for others to compile your code and then build upon it. That is the standard thing, unless, of course, you want to hide it. If you don't want anybody to see your code or what's the name, build upon or fork out of your writings, then you make it private, and then these ratings will be on. But what it will mean is that your smart contract cannot be verified. So it is a standard practice here. Now, earlier on, I told you about this feature. You see the proxy upgradable contract. This is not a proxy contract. So if this is a proxy contract, they could easily renounce the smart contract, right? They could renounce the ownership of the contract and still use the proxy as a window to come in here and make changes to the logic, the core logic of the smart contract. Owner cannot blacklist wallet, ERC, so contract is not possible, and critical admin features are not added, and the list go on and on about this particular thing. Now, before I come back and take your questions, let me also quickly take you to Solidity Scan. Not Solidity Scan, Certic. I want to take you to Certic. Let's look at something. Because if maybe Jerry cannot evaluate this contract, okay, maybe before we come here, let me rather go to Dex Screener. I'll go back to Certic, but let's look at this screener. I still have the same contract address in my hand, so I'm going to paste it right here. It is important we look at it from all angles to be super sure of what we are doing before we start bringing our community in. So there we go. Now, look at the liquidity here. You see the whole padlock green locked on it. Now, this is another confirmation of what we just saw on the blockchain a while ago on BSC scan. The $59 million in this pool is actually locked, or let's say burnt, that they can't come in there and take anything out of it. There is something else I wanted to point to. Yes, the age of the smart contract. There we go. Age of the smart contract is about 1 month, 13 days old. Now, Benny, this is just for you. In the next, in this week's presentation, I'm actually going here to review the owners, the holders of this contract, this token, which wallets hold majority bag, and we'll look at all those contracts one after the other. Then you realize that all those bags holding are the same smart contracts we are dealing with. Some are our treasury and the rest and all. So this is just to point out some of these few things. And there was a point where I think we crossed 1 over 200. What are the holders? I'm looking for holders. Okay, let's go to CETIC. I'll find it there. Now, on CETIC, what I'm going to do is very simple. Find out if CETIC is aware of a project called now, thankfully, if you look at my search history carefully, you realize that I have ARC DeFi there, I have Pot Money, I have Horizon, I have Origin, I have Lumes Network, and I also have Shadow's Claw. That should tell you DeFi project work. Oh, who's calling? Sorry. Okay, that's my little brother to distract my presentation. I'm sorry. So now I'm going to click on Shadow's Claw, and let's look at the ratings from CETIC. First of all, this is an A-rated project with 83.93% score. And if you look on your screen, this is one of the ratings that I mentioned earlier. You know, top 10 AI agents built on, on Binance or the BNB chain. Now, look at something. I want us to look at some of the pulse feed. Already, the project is just about a month old, but users, unique wallets have exceeded 200,000 community users already in a month. And so if they are coming up with their prediction market, you can be assured that out of these 200,000, at least 50,000, 60,000 would be interested in participating in the predicting market or acquiring their AI agents to scan their own prediction market and for us. So you see on your side here, they have audited the smart contract, and then the Skynet monitor is also on. The contract has also been verified. All these things go a long way to prove. And of course, let me also state that they have a bug bounty program on CETIC, where developers challenge the entire building, the entire block developing community. That this is my source code. If any of you can go to the code and prove that there are bugs or there are errors in the code or there are loopholes or traps in this code, I will reward you. And they have set the bar at $10,000 per any developer who can point to them that there is a bug in their smart contract. Nobody has been able to come out after 1 month to say that, oh, I see this bug, I see that bug, I see any bug. So it is a solid project for all angles. Do we have anything to be worried about here? They say no. But when you look deeper, there is something I want to add. When they scan the smart contract, they said centralization. They are checking if the owners have any critical assets, critical unrestricted access to this smart contract later? No. One, is there any major thing? No. Medium things such as the absence, the presence of minting and burn feature, just like we mentioned on the other side, is what has been named. And then they say there is one issue on centralization that has been acknowledged. Now, let's look at the report and then find out what the findings are. And you realize that they will tell you that the token is mintable. The same thing we talked about. And then that major, what's the name? That same token has a hidden owner. Who is this hidden owner? The hidden owner is the treasury who handles the tokens that have been staked. In fact, when we want to look at the holders, for instance, let me take you to, before I go, so these are the two issues that has been named on CETIC as far as the whole smart contracts are involved. Let me also be quick to add that there are 153 smart contracts in total on Shadow's Claw. All these batch of smart contracts have been submitted. And the only two issues they have raised is the fact that the token is mintable, and then the token has a hidden owner. The hidden owner is the treasury that mints the token every day or every 12 hours to initiate, because since the token is not pre-minted, then there should be somebody making a call. There should be a smart contract making a call. And that call is based on how much has been staked, how much reward should be given out, and that is the smart contract that handles it. Again, is that particular feature peculiar to Shadow's Claw alone? No. All the Olympus DAO protocols have that feature to ensure that nobody takes control over the token and then dumps it on the community. So my brother, from every angle that you want to look at it, I know you know more about the space. You can go on your own, do your own findings, do your diggings around this smart contract, and then maybe come up and tell me if all the things I'm saying, I'm sugarcoating or adding up. And of course, documentation, like we always say, beats any other form of anything. So this is the smart contract. Now, another thing I'm sure you'll be interested in, what is the returns like? I talked about the security aspect without even talking about the main thing. Funny enough, this is the part that I'm so much interested in when it comes to security first. So now let's look at what the project offers. And thankfully, I think I have a nicely drafted, how do we call it? A nicely drafted projection on how this token can bring power to your community. I know you're a man of a community. So here's the model. When it comes to staking, or your people will not be interested in all these technicalities. I took you through because you're a leader. You need to know all aspects of the token. Now, they are interested in, if I stake my money, how much do I get at the end of the day? So on your screens now is the staking returns, the potential staking returns. There are two forms of staking in Shadow's Claw. We have the fixed staking, and then we have the flexible staking. With the flexible staking, both your capital and your returns or your profits is not locked. They are all available for you. You can go in today, come out tomorrow, or come out the same day, the same time, and nothing happens. You are not restricted. You have access to your money. And that gives you about 0.2% daily. When you allow that to compound on its own for 30 days, it gives you about 10%. It gives you about 10%. Oh no, guys, I'm not ready. There's a business meeting somewhere for me, but it's okay. Let's go back to what I was doing. I think I came here to show my screen. Sorry. And this is our little community with about some 500 people in there already in 1 month. So I think we are really growing fast. So now coming back to the stake. So with a flexible stake, you earn about average 10% monthly, both capital, interest, not locked, always available for you to withdraw. Then we have the fixed staking. There are 3 staking periods in the fixed staking. We have the 90-day staking, we have the 180 days, and then 360 days. But this particular projection is based on 360 days. But before I come to this, let me quickly touch on the 90 days. When you stake for 90 days, it gives you an APY of about 460% in 90 days. That is APY. Then when you take the 180 days, it gives you about 880% APY. Then when you pick the 360 days, it averages around 1,800% APY. Right now, the APY is not fixed. It is self-regulatory, which means that if it gets to a point, for instance, when more and more people are on staking, they are taking off their money from the staking, it could only signify one thing, that people are no more interested in the stake because maybe it's not too rewarding. And all these guys are going to the market to sell their tokens or their positions. So the smart contract by default will increase or adjust the APY and raise it high to attract more people who will be willing to go to the market, acquire the tokens, and then come and stake. In sense, the prudence, the magic behind it is that these guys who are going to sell the token will meet ready buyers who will buy and then come and stake. So in the long run, the APY keeps adjusting itself. There are times too when the staking is becoming more and more and more, APY adjusts a little bit, comes down a bit, right? And Shadow's Claw is aware of this development. So what they did was they provided you with extra support with your earnings. In fact, we have what we call the earning boost. So if you go for, let's say, 360 days, for instance, they give you about 30% boost of your earnings, which means 1,800%. 30% of that in addition gives you about 2,380%. But this calculation, we have just decided to use 2,300 or 23x as the base of doing this projection. And it means that if you put $100 to work for 1 year and you decide that, oh, let it compound on its own, I don't want to touch it, let it just grow. By the end of the year, we expect that you make at least $2,300. Why? Because we are just basing that on the 23x. And this is on compounding. But the beautiful part of this whole code is that the fact that you choose 1 year doesn't mean you wait for 1 year before you have access to your earnings. Your earnings come to your wallet every 12 hours, and you are at liberty to take them, swap them for your USDT and go away. However, if you leave them, to remain in your earning wallet, when the next 12 hours is up for the next rebase, the system will add that figure to it will take that figure into consideration and then add the value to your staking. Actual staking capital. And sorry, if they are giving 5% and your capital is 1,000, and let's say at the point of the next rebase, your interest there is about 200. If you don't withdraw it, the system is going to calculate 5% on 1,200. Rather than on 1,200. So it allows you to benefit from the continuous compounding of your earnings, and that brings out the magic in the long run. So in that, what if you decide at the end of the year you don't want to take it, you just want to leave it, like all the other protocols, 6 years in operation, 4 years in operation, 5 years in operations, and they are still there. Their liquidity pool intact, money's in there, purely protected and bent. So not even the owners can deprive you. And I decided that I just want to do 2 years. My $100 has already grown to be over $50,000. And if I want to, leave it to grow for 3 years, that on its own gives you about $1.2 million. And you saw the liquidity pool. It's been only 30 days of activity, and we are already talking about over $60 million sitting in that pool locked up. So imagine our next phase when the prediction market is launched and extra revenues are being generated there to support the liquidity. That can only grow and become bigger and bigger and bigger. And I believe all leaders, if they understand this core principle, should be willing to bring this to the knowledge of their people. And it paves way for even people who don't have enough to invest. You can just put in $100, $200, $300, and then watch their finances, change in few months from now. So basically, this is what the Shadows Claw is all about. But anyway, I don't know if you want to add anything before we take questions.
Right, my brother, thank you. It's unfortunate that this guy jumped off, but it's okay. Since I was doing my recording, I had to call in my other smart boy. He's a very smart guy. I told him as this guy is off, you can connect in the interim. But in reality, I will tell you, okay, my brother Benja is here. He has been seeing most of these systems, and he was a bit confused. You remember when I asked you about the question of what is that company which had also renounced, but they had a proxy uh, on their smart contract. They could enter in and change things. The one that messed up people in Nigeria, Bitnest. Yes, so that one, some people were comparing it to this. They are saying, but even that company was renounced. How come they still went off? So when you explained, I understood it. I understood it. So, Jerry, I would think since you are running for a meeting, it's good. But you can also touch on that Bitness thing. It's very key for some people to
Yes.
understand.
So the beautiful part is that in Bitness, I was their biggest promoter in Ghana.
Wow.
And yes, if you check my channel, you see some of the contents I have there for Bitness, attracting several thousands of views. I've held their Zooms. I still hold my team intact. I held the biggest offline event for them here in Ghana at the University of Ghana. We shook the four walls of the university, and it became a talk of town actually. So if you check their channel, you see them posting some of my videos of that event. I was part of Bitness. Our only thing is that we thought that they would just allow things to run until they bring the DAO. The DAO was the bigger picture of where we were heading towards, where everything will be made decentralized. But of course, they had the proxy address, which originally we were made to understand that it handles the structural rewards alone. You earn from your level 1 to level 17, and if you are earning, the wallet, the contract that sends that particular reward to you is what they built. They created access to the proxy. That was the proxy address that was interacting with the main smart contract. And that was the exact window they exploited and to betray all of us in Bitness. So the difference between Bitness, yes, they renounced the smart contract, their liquidity pool, yes, they renounced it. That is why even to date, after all the nonsense they have done, you realize that the pool is still there. Even they can't take money out of it. So what is their game plan now? They are using that as a bait and say, oh, if you don't do this, you don't have access to your money. If you don't buy node, you don't do this. If you don't, if, because they know even they themselves cannot empty that pool as direct as it may. However, they use the proxy to change so many things, to pause the contract, to deprive people from their loops and to re-loop their loops and all. But Shadow's Claw doesn't have proxies. In all the 153 smart contracts they have made public, they don't have proxies. In fact, I have to burn the midnight candles looking at all these contracts one after the other. In fact, one of them they thought I would not even discover, which was the treasury that stores the funds for the node holders. My brother, last night I dig it up and I saw that there were there's so far $1.4 million already accumulated in that smart contract that is meant for the node rewards. So we love blockchain for what it is, but thankfully, once we learn that bitter lesson from Bitness, we decided that me and my community, any smart contract that contains proxy, I am out. I don't want to trust human again. I don't really want to give people benefits of the doubt. Let me just deal with the code the way it is.
All right. Thank you, Jerry. And that's the thing I was telling most guys. I said, guys, we've made mistakes. We've been around. We've trusted friends. You get it? We've listened to people who are saying, oh, I'm the CEO and you know me, you're my friend. And you know what? We are going to submit this project to SATIC. We are going to renounce the keys to these wallets. We are going to do this. All that nonsense, we've had it. And guess what? We've fallen victims. We are human. For those of you who have probably followed us and you've lost something, sometimes I like telling people that maybe, of course, when it's ignorance, they say there is no excuse for ignorance. But I can tell you, over time, learning has to happen. I did history. There is, I don't know whether in Ghana there is European history, but in my country we did a European history. It's called Paper 3. Paper 3 used to
Yeah,
have
we do
one.
history here too.
Yes,
We do history here in
There
Ghana.
was European history here where we had a study about the Bourbon monarchy, the Napoleons and all that. But there was one specific question. They would come and say that the Bourbons learnt nothing and forgot nothing. And then they say, discuss. Now, guys, I'll tell you something. I am 11 years in this industry. I can touch a bit of that question. The Bourbons learned nothing. Now, when they say learned nothing, it means out of 11 years, we are repeating the same mistakes. Now, that means you learned nothing. When they say they forgot nothing, it means that whatever we have been faced, we have seen and we cannot forget. When we see it, we say no, because we forgot nothing. What is happening now? The fact that we forgot nothing, we cannot repeat the mistakes that we did of trusting these friends of ours. The concept of calling us on trips, guys, calling us on trips to Europe, Asia, where that is total nonsense. Anybody who decides to call me now, I'm telling you guys, I will come for a trip. I will just come to have fun and go back to my country, and I will continue with my shadows claw. I'm telling you. So anybody who wants to invite me to give me free package, please, I'm not interested. This is what I want to tell the rest of the world because we are all out there to damage us. But thank God, I found my brother Jerry, who had a bigger experience in actually studying the codes embedded in these smart contracts. It's simple. We don't need to trust anybody anymore. Give me the smart contract. And then we sit with our people who understand. Then we shall analyze and tell you no. Then we shall say yes. So we have said yes to Shadow's Claw because it is scam proof. The system is scam proof. I can say it 100 times. I am going to sit on this system. I'm going to put in my people with peace. The people I used to get scared of, especially the relatives, those are the people we were getting scared of. You're like, I can't bring these people here because tomorrow they're going to make noise for me. But this time, I'm going to get everybody. All these soldiers that were like, the guy will shoot me if his money disappears. Now, those are the people we are going to go and even write contract. I will actually say, let's sign a deal. Let's sign a contract. I will put my hand against it. You're putting $100,000. And I will tell you if it gets lost, I will give it back to you. You see, that I'm willing to get to that level. Are you getting it, Jerry? So that is the level we are moving to. So thank you so much, Jerry, for your time. I know you're running. And my brother here, Benjamin, is one of those guys that I work with. So, Benja, a word from you based on the
Okay.
little
So
information you've
thank
seen.
you. Thank you for joining. And I hope to see you on board soon. On that note, I'll seek your permission to say bye bye. I don't know whether I should leave you on the call.
No, it's okay. We're going to
Jerry,
go now. Let him say a word
just
and
a
we go.
minute. Mm.
Okay.
Just 1 minute. Yeah, I think the only challenge there is yeah, we talked about yeah, Bitnest. I think Bitnest copied the same concept from Unisloop. I don't know whether you know about Unisloop,
Yes, I
Mr.
know you.
Jerry. You know
Yes, I know.
Unisloop.
I heard of it, but I
Yes.
didn't do Unisloop.
Yes. Yeah, something similar that has stayed for long, and they had also renounced their contract like that, and it ended up shutting down after some time. Though I don't know how long Bitnest was into existence, but that is the main challenge. Though you've tried to explain it. So anyway, what I can say, uh, I'm going to dig deep down into this
Okay,
and
so while you are
see how
going to
my
deep,
business.
let me give you areas you should do.
Mm,
The flag bearer of this protocol or liquidity is what we call Olympus DAO staking.
mm,
So Olympus
mm,
DAO themselves, they are 6 years old in business. And in these 6 years, they have not robbed anyone. In fact, there were times they were giving up to 40x of your stake in a year. And they survived it, or to date, they are still doing very, very well. Then
40x.
40x, like 4,000% in a year.
Okay.
The way my brother
No,
says,
in online, we don't even believe our system can even take 1 year. These days, that is why we get worried.
don't worry, my brother. So they
Uh,
give. So what it simply means that when you stake $100 and leave it for a year, that tends to
mm,
like $4,000. And if you decide that
mm,
okay, that $4,000 should go for another year, it also go
mm,
like 40 times again, and that already
mm,
runs into several hundreds and millions of dollars. But they've been able to
mm,
run that model since 6 years now, and they are still in business. So you can hit your chat GTP and say, query what is the
mm,
success story of Olympus down protocol. It will give you
mm,
all the things you need to know. It will also warn you of some of the things you should look out for. Secondly, that wasn't just
mm,
one-off thing. Other
mm,
protocols that also follow the same. Some are Origin, LGNS. Those protocols are 4 years in business. Nobody has robbed anyone. WebKey DAO is another. Arc DAO is another. Then what's the name? Horizon. They are, I think they are the youngest among all, but they are even more than a year old in business. I think they are close to 2 years now, and it is the same
mm,
structure, the same economic model they deployed. And these guys have printed several millionaires, especially those who saw the opportunity right from the beginning and decided to be part of it. Some of them didn't even understand the risk they took at that time. Let me tell you what, the reason why I didn't do LGNS is because if you know something, it becomes a problem sometimes. When they were
mm,
telling people, oh, the smart contract is safe, it is renounced, and we can trust us and all that, I picked the smart contract and then I went to dig it up. I realized that it wasn't renounced. The
mm,
liquidity pool was not locked. In fact, somebody was on Zoom telling them that the reason why the liquidity pool is not locked is the fact that when you lock the liquidity pool, people cannot trade the token. I got offended. I got
mm,
offended that you could come to a large community Zoom and be saying such lies, you know. So that became my problem. I didn't do it. However, those guys who innocently trusted a lie, not knowing what
mm,
they were getting themselves into, those guys are big boys now. They just took a risk, not knowing the risk involved. It's just like you picking a car, you are going and you don't know even the tires have issue, and then you drove it all the way to where you want to get to. You got down only to see that all along when you were coming, one of your tires wasn't really good, and at the end of the day, it still managed to take you there. So they risk it and they got there.
mm.
We
Okay,
were
Jerry.
afraid. We wanted to be so
Mm,
sure, and because we knew that there's danger, I know that is dangerous. I'm not going to do it, and then we avoided the risk. But those guys have made it off at the end of the day.
okay. Now talking about this token here, can it be dumped so hard? I don't know the price of the token
No
as per now.
way.
Mm.
The token can
Yeah,
never be
because that
done.
is that is another way. That is another way people can scam you because
Yes,
you buy the token at this price,
yes.
but you're taking it, and after some time, it drops by half or even by
It
three
pains,
quarters.
it pains me that you didn't join the conversation from the beginning. I did mention that.
Mm.
So when you take a protocol like Horizon, when I was being introduced to it over a year ago, I was told the token was around $55 over a year ago.
Mm.
Today, the token is still currently sitting at $54 after 1 year. Now, when it comes to Shadow's Claw, they even have vigorous mechanisms to ensure that nobody could dump, not even the team builders like me. I cannot dump the token on the community because of the rules in place when I want to sell. The cooling
Mm.
periods I need to go through, the portions I need to burn, and then the smart contract's own logic of minting the token. Every 12 hours the rewards come. If the reward is coming and they realize that the price of the token is below the premium market they are using for the calculation, instead of printing new tokens to reward people, the treasury will be triggered to take money from that treasury and buy the token from the market and then use it to settle people. If it goes beyond that level, treasury funds are triggered to buy and burn the token. So all those mechanisms has made this almost impossible for the token to dump. So if you go to your coin market cap and look for SAC, look at the last 30 days performance. It is stable. It is on a straight line. It doesn't blink. It's always around the 27.6, 27.5, 27.6. It doesn't come to even 25 for you to even get it cheaper to buy. It's always around that zone. And the tokens are not pre-minted. So nobody has total control of certain quantity that they will dump. All those earnings are those earning from the system. And if you want to burn or to
So
want
when
to
you're exchanging, when you're swapping it, do you swap a portion of it, or
yes, all
let's say you
depends.
have
All depends on you. All depends on you if you can meet the vigorous and the rigid control mechanism put in place. In fact, those who are not disciplined, they don't like those control mechanisms. For instance, if I want to swap the token from the DApp, they tell you, first of all, if I want to swap one, acquire one, and then put it through the cooling system for 12 hours. Once you acquire it, the one you want to sell is available for you to sell instantly. But the one you just acquired will be in a cooling period for 12 hours before you can come back and swap. That is to tell you that, assuming you saw a price go up and suddenly you want to take advantage and just go and sell right now. No, you can't, because that rule was going to lock the token for 12 hours before releasing it to you. And there is no way anybody can dump it. Yes.
But at the end of the day, you swap it.
You swap it at the end of the day.
Because I'm thinking that now the bigger community have come in place and everybody has those tokens, and maybe
that even makes it better. Actually, in this case, the numbers actually gives us more revenue. The more people we have swapping the token, paying the 5% burn fees and all those things, the more revenues is being generated back to support the ecosystem. So we actually need the numbers.
Jerry, a simple explanation. Bitcoin, the more people are demanding it because it's not on the market, you have to mine. The more demand rise, the more the value of this coin actually go, and the better for the ecosystem of Bitcoin. So our coin is in the same way. It's not pre-mined. People have to ask for it. And when they ask for it, it means there is a need. So you're not going to just ask for it just to be there. No, there is a need. There is a need where you need it. You either want it to stake it or you want to withdraw. So mostly people are putting in USDT so that the token can come out. And for that, that also keeps it in check. Nobody is going to come and get the token to play around with. No, someone has to first understand it. Someone understand it first. Yes.
Okay.
All right, sir. All right. Thank you. I need to run and join the meeting now. Thank you so much.
All right.
I think
Thank you. Since I recorded this, I will share it with my friend Agnes here. Yeah, Mama Bitcoin. I'll share it with her.
Okay. Thank you so much. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Agnes, you came a bit late. We are done, but I recorded everything.